Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Make sure that if you're watching on YouTube, to hit that like button and the subscribe button as well if you haven't already. I would appreciate that. Now my guest today is Waylon Reavis, not Reavis, Reavis, and we're going to cover his whole career. So we start with his humble beginnings with the band 3/4 Dead. Then he hits the big time in Mushroomhead. He shared a stage with Korn and Rob Zombie, among others. He's playing huge festivals. It leaves Mushroomhead, then he has a hiatus in music, and we're going to talk about that, what he did during that time, and then getting sober, the sobriety that he had, and what led him to that point, why he got sober, and then, of course, his rebirth with his new band, A Killer's Confession, which has new music out, and a tour with Tommy Vext from Bad Wolves and Struggle Jennings. Really exciting stuff. We also talk a little bit about his brief acting and wrestling career. So all sorts of great stuff, fun stories. He's got a great heart, and this was a fun conversation. Enjoy it. Okay, please welcome Waylon Reavis. I said that right. It's not Reavis, it's Reavis.
You did. Yes, you did. Oh my God.
Do most people say Reavis?
Everybody says Reavis because of Beavis and Butthead. They think it's like Reavis would be Reevis.
Right. Okay. Well, I think it's interesting too. Your first name, you're named after Waylon Jennings.
Yes, my brother is Willie.
After Willie Nelson, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. So your dad was a big country music fan, right?
Oh, yeah. Huge.
But he wasn't a fan of like your style of music. Is it true he never saw you perform ever?
He never seen me. Yeah, that is true. He never seen me perform music.
That's so shocking to me. Does that sting a little?
No, not anymore. On his deathbed, we worked it all out. And he apologized, but it wasn't something he wanted me to go. He didn't want me to go down this path. This as a parent, he knew what could happen and most likely would happen. And I defied the odds with getting a record deal and becoming something, but he didn't see it happen. He thought it was a fad and maybe just a phase in my life, and he's like lead to drugs, and he was right about a lot of things. And he was just looking out for me, but he apologized. I mean, it's all good.
But when you're later, you're in Mushroomhead and you're playing these huge concerts. I mean, isn't there at that point, doesn't he say, okay, maybe I was wrong? Like you're obviously having some success or?
Nope.
Wow.
He was a man's man. You got to understand, my father was the greatest man I've ever known. And, I forgave him for that. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
His friends have spoken enough about him talking behind my back and how proud he was. That's all I need. I'm good. I'm good.
Well, so then so you get into music? It was Korn, really. Is that the thing that sparked you and said, I got to start practicing. I want to be like these guys.
No, the Korn, just seeing it, I knew that's what I'm going to do. It was just one of those things. It wasn't practice. It's like we practiced when I was in the band, when that started, we were practicing 7 days a week and we were terrible. We were terrible.
Okay.
We were the worst band you'd ever hear. And, years and years and years of practice, because none of us really had a musical background. It was just paint by numbers, it's like figure it out on the way. And, it's like, it's been it's been a learning curve the whole time, even now.
Was that so? When you say that band, are you talking about the 3/4 Dead? That was your first?
3/4 Dead had like 50 names. 3/4 Dead was the final version.
Okay.
It was just, we started when we were 14, 15 years old, and just learn. I mean, I was the only member of the band that could read music, because I took band, and I had played saxophone and I could read music. I was the only member that could read it, and everybody's like, "Why do you do that?" And it's like, well, it's music,
Yeah, probably a lot of successful musicians don't read music, though. I think that's pretty common. A lot of them don't.
Yeah, but it's like I can still read music. I can do that. I can actually. You can hand me sheet music and I can read it, and I wouldn't be able to play it that well now because it's been years since I've done it. But I can do that.
So, 25 years old. You at that point you had been in the band for about 10 or 11 years, right? Before. So then you get your big break, which is Mushroomhead. Now, explain the story how you got that job, because was it originally you were going to be like a guest vocalist with somebody or something?
The way I got the job was, it's like back in 2003, I had opened for Mushroomhead and ended up buying on a tour and opening up for them and Avenged Sevenfold before Avenged was huge. So it was me and Three Quarters Dead, then Avenged Sevenfold, then Mushroomhead. And I did that tour. It was a winter tour. It was really cool. It was my first time on tour ever, really just green, had no clue what was going on. Ended up hooking back up with the band Mushroomhead a couple months later after that tour ended at a place called Tremont Music Hall in Charlotte, and finally spoke with Skinny. And we talked about me coming up to Cleveland to record The Indifference of Good Men, which I ended up doing a Killer's Confession, but that was the name of the last Three Quarters Dead album. So we went up there and recorded it, and Jay came in during my vocal sessions and said, man, if I ever get sick, I'm calling you, And I was like, oh, whatever, that's never going to happen. And Skinny was like, no, man, we're going to have you as a guest on the next album. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. I thought I was really starting to make it somewhere. I really started paying attention to my vocal capabilities, and ended up going back home. And then like a month later, I got Mark, our guitarist, called me and said, hey man, Skinny got a hold of me. He wanted me to call you. And he said, give him a call. And I was like, okay. So I got a phone because I didn't have a cell phone or anything. I was like totally off the grid back then. And I called him. He's like, hey, Jay just quit. You want the job? And that was it. And I
didn't even have to audition or anything. Wow. Because at that point, I think you said at 25 years old, you've been playing in the bands for so long, you were thinking actually about quitting. Right at that point, you were about ready to give up because you're like,
I was done. I was like done. I like an opportunity had already passed for Three Quarters Dead to do something, and my drummer had backed out on me, and I was just done. I was like, "F you, I'm out." And it's like, and when Mushroomhead gave me that opportunity, I was like, "Screw you, I'm out." It's like I was gone, and that's what I did.
And so you're in that band for a long time. So for people who don't know Mushroomhead, it's kind of like you guys had the masks and stuff and the makeup, and you'd spend, what was it, like 2 or 3 hours of your day was putting on the makeup and all the costumes and stuff?
I used to spend an hour before stage, about an hour every day. When the band before us would go on stage was my cue to get that I was late.
Okay.
To start putting the makeup on, and then an hour afterwards to get all that crap off.
Well, and it's like not fun, I'm guessing, to sing with all that stuff, right? The sweating and the.
It's fun, but it's a mess. And people ask me, I was like, "Are you ever going to do that again?" It's like, no, I did my time. I'm good. I don't need to do that again. People love to see it, and I've done a Killer's Confession tour where I put the makeup back on, and I said this is the last time I did it, and I just did it because the fans asked me to.
Yeah,
and then I have no intentions of ever putting on face paint or mask or any of that stuff again.
Right. So you're in Mushroomhead. You guys tour with Insane Clown Posse. You end up opening for Korn. That's got to be surreal. That's one of your bands that inspired you to get into music.
Awesome. It didn't happen until 2014. I'd already been in the band for a decade.
Okay.
I've been in Mushroomhead a decade at that point. And we went and we were going out we went to Australia, and we were doing this thing called Soundwave, and then they you do Soundwave, and then they had a couple shows, and we were paired with Rob Zombie and Korn, and Jonathan was having breakfast one day, and I was like, hey, can I join you? And I ended up telling the story of how awesome it was for me to be there to play with him, and told him the story about how he got me started, and he remembered the tour. He remembered that era. He's like, oh my God, that is so awesome. Will you do a testimonial for us? And if you look it up on YouTube, you can find a testimonial of me talking about Korn being the reason I'm where I'm at. And I'm like, everything just came together, and then ended up just becoming really good friends with the guys. I love those guys. They have had nothing but kind words and, good advice for me throughout my career past Mushroomhead. They've been there for me, and I love those guys.
That's awesome. And then I think you also you did the Mayhem Festival that was with Korn and Avenged Sevenfold. And I guess, I didn't realize you had played with Avenged Sevenfold before, but you played with Panic at the Disco. What are the other highlights of being in Mushroomhead? What other bands that you played with or venues, or what were the biggest moments for you that you remember?
I would definitely say going to Australia and doing the sound wave, because I mean, a couple of them shows were like 100,000 people. We were playing with Green Day. We're playing the Olympic Stadium, with all these bands, and Korn and Rob Zombie and all these guys were on it, and they're not even the headliners. Green Day is, and I don't know if you know, Green Day is huge. I mean, they are a huge band.
Yeah.
And got to you play Olympic Stadium. I'm in Sydney, Australia, and I'm playing Olympic Stadium. I'm on it at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and there was more people than I'd ever seen in my life. I walk out and I'm like, I got a hangover. And I remember there's a picture, and you can find it online. And I've just got my arms out like right here, and this massive crowd in front of me. I didn't even have a microphone on. I just kind of peeked out and I looked. I'm like, oh shit. It was just like nobody told me that there was going to be this many people here right now at this moment. I'm going on at 11 a.m.
Yeah, that's early.
Oh, dude. And we wasn't even the first band. First band was on at like 9.
Damn, those fans are hardcore. Because usually at that point, yeah,
Australia, they come in festivals. They don't have a regular tour circuit over there.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, it's my favorite place in the world. I have a love for Australia that like I could die there. It's just a great place. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I listened to a lot of interviews with you, and you just seemed like such a down to earth, like nice guy. But then I saw this story about, and I don't know, I'm sure it's probably different now, but things did not end well with you and Mushroomhead. Like you said, they fucked people over, and that they shit talk, and they didn't care about you. They just wanted money. Have you kind of like mended the fences with those guys, or what happened?
I've let it go, and I'll leave it at that. Like,
okay,
times have changed. We have changed as people. I've spoke with certain members, and apologies have been made, and I don't. It's like, but I'm in a different place and headspace too. We were a crazy band. You got to understand. We tried to mimic being Motley Crue, like we did. Like it was such a drug fueled, ego driven thing. It got the best of all of us, and myself included. I am not innocent in any way. I did a lot of bad things, and like we all did, but we were it was the inmates running the asylum, if that makes sense to you. And I have since then become sober. I have 5 years under my belt of sobriety. And I can see things through, it's a lot clearer. Yeah, when things you understand, it's like a marriage, and it was just such a bad breakup, and now it's like if I could have done things differently, I wish I would have. I'm glad it happened. It like now I like it was, oh, you changed your tune. It's like, no, man, I got older and I got wiser. It's like if I could go about doing it differently, but at the same time, it was the worst and greatest thing that ever happened for me. So, I had to have that to become the person I am now.
So what would you have done differently if you could do it differently now?
Just left. I would not have fought. I would not have said anything. I would have just finished out my obligation and been like, hey, man, I can't do this anymore.
You would have left at what point? Because you were in the band for like 11.
I would have left at that same time. I would.
Okay.
I feel like my time in Mushroomhead had came and went, and it's like I needed to do something else. I was tired of being in a group where, there's 3 singers, there's 2 singers, there's 3 singers, there's 4 singers, there's 5. It's like, I don't want to do that. I want to be in a band where I'm doing my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like, I'm not doing the costumes. I mean, and you understand, I loved what we did, but for me at the time, it just really, wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. I didn't even want to do it. I wanted to retire, but it just gotten to a point where it was not fun anymore. And we all start playing music because we want to have fun.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so then talk about that, your hiatus from you. So you left Mushroomhead, and then you ended up working with children for a year. You didn't even do any music, right? Is this when you found sobriety?
No, I had not found sobriety yet. I had not quite got to that point yet. We were another year away from that, like in 16, in 15, 16, it's like at the end, in the 16 is when I started getting sober. That's when it happened, because now, in 15, when I started that job, I was still, I finally ended up just like cutting the, chords and working with children, and started seeing that I had it good. you know, I started seeing some real horror stories and just realizing, hey man, you got it good, bro. You need to knock it off.
Interesting. So what were you in, like education or like were a youth center, or what do you, how?
I was in a children's home where was state wards, you know, been taken away from the parents, and were, you know, I worked in a home, and I'm not really allowed to talk too much about it.
Sure.
And I, you know, it's like, and I love those kids. You gotta understand, I love those kids. But like, I seen some stuff, man. I like, but during that, my drinking became real heavy, because like you work with these children and they tell you stories and you read their paperwork, and you go home and it's all like you can deal with it. It's just like, oh my God, you know, this really happens. You know, it's like, that was my first time to learn about trafficking, like children being trafficked and sex trafficking and stuff like that. And
holy shit.
like,
isn't that crazy?
Like finding out like it's new.
Yeah.
This has been going on for years, man. And like, it's like you see a lot of it now, people talking about sex trafficking with children and stuff. And that was my first dose of it, of the kids that they were able to pull out of it, and them telling me these stories of like, and a lot of them would run right back to it, you know, because they thought that they cared about them, and you couldn't convince them otherwise. And you just like, you'd see that and they'd fight with you, and you'd go home and just crack open a bottle.
That's
like,
crazy.
It did, man. It changed me though.
So that changed you, because then you thought you're feeling more maybe gratitude towards your time being in bands and being able to make a living as a musician. So you start Killer's Confession. Now, why did it start in Cleveland? Why are we living in Cleveland? Because aren't you from North Carolina?
I had lived in Cleveland since 2004. I like, Cleveland is the hometown of a Killer's Confession, hometown of Mushroomhead.
Yeah.
That's where we started. That's where the band's based. Even now, I live in Florida. AKC's hometown is Cleveland.
Okay.
Florida. You know, it's like, I love Florida. I live here in Florida, but that's not AKC's home.
Yeah.
AKC's home is in the 216.
Okay. So I love the people think the band name is about serial killers, but it's more about the confession part of it, not killers, about opening up and being honest. So explain that. That's really cool.
You can kill so many things in your life, but are you willing to admit it? And like you don't have to commit murder to kill something. You can kill off your feelings. You can kill off a friendship. There's so many things, but do you have the gumption to be able to speak about it and open up and be honest with yourself and everyone around you about what you've done, being able to confess? That's where Killer's Confession it really lies. And a lot of people do. They thought, oh man, you're in the silly. No, I'm not. I don't care. I don't care for that at all. I like to play on words because it's abrasive. It gets your attention off the bat, but then you really start thinking about what it's saying. And then you start, and then if you can go even further than that, you may even listen to us, and then you realize we're nothing that you thought we were.
So when you started, sorry, go on.
Super heavy band, and we're not.
Yeah. Well, so when you started this band, were you going all in? Like, you're like, okay, you quit the children's job, and then is this going to be your main focus? Or are you still having to do? Okay, so you're all in on this band.
I dumped everything I had into this. This was my entire life savings, my retirement, everything I had, every last dime I put into this.
That's scary as shit, is it not?
Still is, it's like it still is. I'm still putting everything I have into this, and I don't see any stop in sight. I really don't. I see it's what I do. It's who I am. And if I'm not doing this, I'm not going to be happy.
Right. So that's more important.
It's just money. It really is. Like, yeah, you buy food and you can pay your rent and buy bills, but are you happy?
So are you happy now with Killer's Confession?
Yeah. Oh, yes. It has its bumps and roads. It's like anything else. It was what I was put here to do. That's the part that I try to explain to people all the time. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to do anything else. I can, and I have, but all it's going to do is piss me off.
Right. No, I think people are here for a purpose, and clearly this is your purpose to play music. I mean, because even this band Now you've won all these awards with the Rock Radio, or what is it? Rock Rage Radio Awards.
Rock Rage Radio.
Like several awards for this band with that. And there was another one too, I think, Best New Band. And
yeah, it's crazy, the fans that have stood behind me this entire time. And there was a comment the other day on our new video we just did with Chad Gray, and I hardly ever read comments. It's just not my thing. And I'm on it, and I'm just checking numbers, and I'm watching it because I kind of get tickled because I got to do a song with Chad Gray, and I'll watch it and just be like that little kid in me, be like, oh, it's mundane, yes, it's like that. And it was like newest comment was popped up first, and it said, it's like everybody talks about Waylon from Mushroomhead, and that's good and well and all, and that's where I find him. But this Waylon is not even comparable to that Waylon. He's opened up and is an entire different beast now. And I was just like, wow, that's a comment. It's like, and like I said, I don't read comments, but I mean, this person's just like, it was not even comparable to where I was and where I am now. And I've not even reached the level of success that I found in Mushroomhead with this yet. And it was humbling to me just to be like, wow, y'all are paying attention. And they could hear my sobriety coming through. They can hear the change, and they can hear that I'm growing as a musician, because I mean, like I said, it's like, if I don't do this, I'm just gonna go nuts.
Yeah. So when did it's while after you started A Killer's Confession that you decided to get sober? Was there like a rock bottom moment?
I had a stroke.
Oh, a physical thing then. Okay.
Yeah, it took me out. And my wife now, Julie, was just like, you don't sober up, we're done. Like we were both with the divorces, got together, and I kind of carried some habits over from my last marriage over into this relationship, and she nipped it in the bud within the first couple of weeks. And
wow.
And I have not turned back since.
That's amazing. So that's a big piece of it is your partner then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my wife totally. And she let me sober up. That's the thing. Like everybody's like, well, did you go to rehab? I was like, no, I stayed in my bedroom for 6 months.
What was it? Just booze, or was it drugs, or what? Because
it was speed. I was all into speed.
Because so that's what would cause the stroke then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was all speed. And I was finally just done. And when you're done, you're done. Like, and people will say that all the time. Like, when you finally make up your mind that you're done with something, you'll be done. Or because like it was just that last stitch. My dad always told me, he's like, when you're ready to quit, you'll quit. He goes, you will quit.
So you're done with everything though, booze and everything?
I don't do anything. I drink coffee, and I even quit my cigarettes. I still vape, but I quit smoking. I don't drink. I don't do anything. Like, I haven't been altered in years.
Do you find now that, now that's interesting, because with speed, I feel like that could sometimes like make you more focused and get more work done. Or do you find yourself able to be more focused on music? Was the drugs getting in the way of making music?
Definitely got in the way. The drug, like, I think about it a lot. It's like how I wish I had the mind I have now, and I go back and I could give people a greater version of Mushroomhead when I was there. Because I don't even think the same. I don't. I can focus. Like, and they say it didn't make me focus. It just shut me down. Like, the difference between me and most people get chatterbox and they'll run their mouth all night. I didn't. I would turn inward and not say a word to anybody.
So now, you're not aggressive towards people, but maybe just assertive and just tell people how you feel and what you think. And
I posted on TikTok the only regret I have in life is I didn't tell enough people to fuck off.
So that would actually be a good thing then, to tell people to fuck off.
Yeah, like, you got to know, you got to have boundaries. It's like, I didn't tell enough people to fuck off. I really didn't. I wasn't being a leader for myself. I was being a follower, and I was trying to find acceptance. And now I don't need your acceptance. I don't need your love. I don't need your acceptance. I need you to accept the fact that I'm going to be me. And if you don't like it, there's the door.
Well, there you go. Well, so you guys are on tour with, speaking of like, telling people to fuck off, you're on tour with Tommy Vext,
Yes.
from Ex Bad Wolves. I had Doc Coyle on my show. Nicest guy, but it seems like,
awesome.
yeah, there's so much drama with those two camps. And I For the life of me, I don't know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. They both seem, I don't know. Do you have an opinion on that? Or, I mean, obviously
I don't know.
you don't know either.
I don't know. I've not met them to form opinion. I've met Doc, and it's like, but the fact is just like everything else in life, this is none of my business. And sometimes it's best take your nose and butt it out and let them handle their thing. And because most time when people put their nose in somebody else's business, it just makes things worse. And it's not my place. I have a killer's confession to worry about. Tommy's got his thing to worry about. And it's like, I'm not going to go up and get in his business. That's disrespectful of me to anybody, is to assert my 2 cents. It's like, and try to be like, oh, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. No, you got your own life to live. Go do it. Good decision, bad. That's on you. And I think it'd be very disrespectful if somebody in the industry came up to me and tried to tell me what to do when the Mushroomhead thing went down too. It's something that was between the 2 parties. And I think that people have forgot about this. It's like bands are closer than you'll ever think. And when it's a divorce, it's a divorce. And it's just like any divorce. It's none of your damn business what happened, how it happened. Let those 2 parties figure it out.
Yeah, it's just weird because there's like, it's so much of it's a public. They're posting this and posting that, and you're just going, like, it's just hard to figure out what the heck happened. But
I won't even read it, to be honest with you, because like I see stuff like that and I've been through it.
Yeah.
And you got to say, I've been through it. I don't want nothing to do with it. I just don't. I'm there. I wish him well. I wish them well. Do your things, guys. I'm doing mine.
Well, there you go.
I'm doing my business.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people, it's like, and Struggle Jennings is on that tour, and I'm really looking forward to meeting him. And Struggle's being Waylon's grandson. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. For me, my dad's in heaven going, yeah, the boy finally made it. He's doing it with some country stuff. So I think that's kind of hilarious.
Well, that's going to be a cool tour. Now, were you guys, because I think you were supposed to open for Blink-182 at was it the Incarceration Festival? Did that show ever happen, or did it get rescheduled?
It rescheduled. We just did it. We
just did it.
Rob Zombie. This past Incarceration, we did that Sunday with Rob Zombie, and had a really great time slot. And we're like one of the few bands that got to come over from the year before. It was a little different. It was a different type of vibe this year because of COVID, of course. But I had a blast, and I had a real fun time, doing it. But like I said, it's like Killer's Confession's on its way now, and it was supposed to start, I hate to say it, like the year before, but then COVID happened,
sure,
everything. So I had to go back to the drawing board and didn't lose any momentum. And I'm still on that trajectory of getting the band where it needs to be, so I can just continue doing what I do.
Yeah. And you're putting out some great music. What has been the reaction? It sounds like you mentioned the one comment about the song with Chad Gray from Mudvayne. What about the rest of the songs? Has it been a good reaction from fans?
People are absolutely just like, they're like, where are you coming from? And it's like, I'm not following anybody. I'm not trying to sound like anybody. I'm really not. People are really susceptible to what I'm doing. But the thing about it is, it's like I'm walking this path that is not being walked by any band. It's like everybody's like, well, what style are you? I'm like, we're not. If you really want to say anything, we're bipolar, we're moody. That's what I tell people all the time. But we're having a really good. But if we can just get people to listen long enough that we grab their attention, that's the thing. We're really trying to, because I'm not trying to be Mushroomhead. I'm not trying to be Mushroomhead 2.0, any of that. Killer's Confession actually is more like 3/4 dead would have become. And I just kind of, when I started, I picked up where I left off. And I really don't try to be modern. I don't try to be this new thing. I just try to be this music that captivates you. And that we're accomplishing it. And we got some talented writers working with us. Sahaj Ticotin from Raw as our producer.
Love him.
Really sees the vision of what I'm going for. And he says I sing sorrow about better than anybody he knows. He said, you sell it. He goes, you understand it. And I'm like, well, I've lived it, so it should come off.
He's brilliant. He's like I had him on the show. He's a super smart guy. Do you ever just talk to like him about his life and stuff?
One of the best friends in the world.
Yeah.
It's like he said one of his first experiences with me He said he knew he loved me because he goes, Waylon, you can scream like a demon. And then he goes, then in your stupid accent, turn around, hey, that sound any good to you? I just stopped and looked at him. I was like, I bet that is kind of scary.
No, that's true. Like, yeah, because when I listen to your music, it doesn't, you don't have an accent. It's not country while you're singing. So yeah, that's a good point. He's a funny guy.
He's hilarious, and he's one of my best friends in the world. And I love the guy. Absolutely. In the industry, one of the few people I trust. And I'm working with him now on because we have our new album coming out. Remember album ends up finally dropping on November 19th. And we've already started our next EP, which we're calling Welcome to Wilbar. And it'll be out next year. And I'm working with Sahaj already.
Okay. So, because you've already released some singles. So some of these singles will be on this album, or will this album be? If
it has a puzzle piece, it's a part of the album.
Okay.
We release our 7th part of this album this Friday. On the 8th, we have another song. And then every 2 weeks after that, there'll be another song until the 19th. And then the full album will drop.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, I like what I've heard so far. Now, so how many songs will you get on this tour with the other bands?
We get 30 minutes. I think we'll get 6 songs out of that. I think we'll be able to maybe do 6.
Okay.
And we'll be playing we'll be playing something off every album because we have 3 albums now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be playing something off. We'll be playing the big songs off of every album.
So, but if you guys did a headlining tour, obviously you'd have a bigger set, longer time to perform. Would you do like old Mushroomhead songs or some of your other bands?
No, we do all AKC. We have enough material. I could do 2 hours with just AKC songs.
Okay, yeah, because you were in this band Tenafly Viper with Tommy, and you guys. It's interesting. You did this song called Reno. That's a good song, but it's about drinking. Now you don't want to play that song anymore because you've kind of outgrown that. I've played
the song since.
Yes, have you?
I have done it. I will never write a song like that again.
Okay.
I never and I tell people, I say, if we're going to play this song, I said, there's a couple rules. A, do not go to the bartender and bring me 30 shots on stage. That would happen.
Oh,
B,
shit.
Do not bring me any cocaine because I do not want to see it. I do not want it. This is what would happen. We would get done playing Reno, and there would be the bartender or the waitress would come up. She'd have a tray full of shots, and the crowd would just start chanting pussies if you wouldn't drink all. You try to drink 30 shots between 4 guys.
That's a lot, yeah.
And then get out there, and then the local cocaine dealer will be there and be like, well, we'll make this right now, and just line. And 3 years of my life were gone because of that song. That song just absolutely almost killed us. It was Tenafly was no joke. We were the bastard sons of Motley Crue.
That's crazy. So now do you get, now if let's say you're just playing with a Killer's Confession and somebody does, I mean, that must happen where people offer you shots, they don't know your story, or cocaine or whatever. Like, do you get tempted, or are you just totally over that shit?
I'm totally over it now. You could bring cocaine up to me and I'll be like, nah, man, get that out of my face. It's like my wife tells me she knew I was done the day that it was our first tour back. We were with Tala back in 2018. We were playing Detroit. And when we're doing our thing on stage, we're playing, and this guy comes up and he has a gram of cocaine, and he sits there and dangles it at me on the stage. And he winks at me and goes, see you later. And I'm like, whatever, I just continue to finish the set. Well, if anybody knows me since much of it, I always go to the merch booth as soon as we're done, go there, sign an autograph, take pictures, say hello. I've always been that way. And he was just like, hey, man, I cut you a line out of the bathroom when you're ready. I'm like, sober. Oh, man, you're fucking with me, man. He'll be there when you're ready. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm sober. He goes, well, let me buy you a drink. I'm like, dude, I'm sober. We'll smoke a joint. And I'm like, dude, what part of sober do you not understand?
Oh, wow. They're just trying to push their drugs in.
And, a lot of people got mad at me when I got sober too. It's like, you'd think that people would get behind you, but a lot of people in that lifestyle will get upset because they feel like you turned your back on them. It's like misery loves company. Huh. And I had partied so hard and so long, and there was, death was the only thing in my future on that stuff. That was the only thing that could feasibly happened to me was I was going to die. It was going to kill me. And
right.
I didn't care.
No, I think that's good when people get sober, especially if they're, like you said, on that path where they're going to die. I mean, I worry about some of my friends. I'm like, I hope this person like figures this out, but usually it's like, you kind of have to go all or nothing if you have that like kind of intensity, which I think that you do.
It was all or nothing. I did not want to be sober. I didn't care about sober. AA was for quitters. All the jokes you hear, I had no intentions. Like, it was just like, we're going to burn up, blaze of glory. It's just like, let's go, live fast, live hard, and die young, because there's nothing but when you get old. Well, now there is, and I don't quite see the things the same way. I'm very reserved. I'm very, thankful that I got through this. But it's like, and I was like, would you change anything? I'm like, no, because it made me who I am. It's like I had to have that to be here.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great, and you're making great music. So yeah, like we said, you've worked with or met with some great musicians, Rob Zombie, Korn, all those guys. I like this story though about how you're a big Tool fan, and you saw Maynard, but you're so starstruck you didn't want to approach him, you didn't want to risk asking for an autograph or a picture. You just wanted to admire him from afar. Yes. Do you still feel that way? You don't want to have a conversation? He seems like such a fascinating guy. There's not one thing you'd ask him?
I don't know, man. I don't want him to be like, who's this dumbass when he meets me. I really, I want to admire him from afar. I do. He's just so awesome. I just want to be like, yeah, I want to leave it in my head of what I have. I don't want anything to change, because sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'd say to him without being like, oh, you're the best. I don't want to do that. He is just that good to me. And I would just rather leave it at that sake. If Maynard was in a room, I would just slowly sit into a shadow and watch from afar.
Did you get to play with him, or what was because you did see him, right?
Yeah, I did see him, but we wasn't playing or anything.
Okay.
It was just like I was in the same room, and I was just like, back up.
So would that be on your bucket list then, to like do a tour with them and open for them or something?
No.
No.
I would, yes, I would love to do it, but it would be, he's so good to me and he's such an idol. It would put so much pressure. Like, it would just be like knowing that's going on next. It's like he's like, shit, you got Maynard on, man. You better turn your game up. It's just like, you better be good tonight. Because this is fucking Tool. Excuse my language, but straight up, man, it's like, you better bring your A game.
Yeah, no, I think that you should want that as something on your bucket list then. If you want it that bad, if you're that big of a fan, I think maybe you'd get there.
I would rather just have tickets to every show.
All right. Fair enough. Well, I think they're on tour now. They're coming to Phoenix. I think I might check them out.
They're coming to Orlando. I'm definitely going to that show. It's just one of those things, man. It's like, I'm not saying I'm intimidated, but it's just like, wow, it's like, I just don't see that ever happening for me. I'm just being honest. Like, it's fucking Tool.
Well, what if it's possible you could play with them at a festival or something like that, though.
It is very possible, in a perfect circle or something like that, and I would be honored. Like, a lot of my songs are written, like the song The Shore is a tribute to Tool's style and Maynard's style. It's a tribute. It's my personal tribute. It has lyrically has nothing to do with the band, but stylistically, it was my tribute to him.
That's really cool. I just learned this today. Did you used to do some acting? Are you still doing that? You were in a movie, The 13th Sign, and
no, worst movie ever made. No.
That is not a good sell for the product. So you're not trying to promote that movie anymore.
I don't sell that product. No, we don't talk about that. Like, that was worst experience ever. And then I seen it and I was like, oh my God, I can't crawl. I can't put my head far up enough my ass or in a hole to hide from it.
That bad, huh?
Oh yeah. Terrible piece of shit.
Wow. I haven't seen it. I just saw the poster and I was like, oh, this sounds intriguing. And it was like, yeah. Okay. I'll make sure I avoid that. What about the other one? You were in another one, Tonight Will Go As Follows. Is that one better?
It never came out.
It never came out?
Never came out.
Do you still want to do acting? Do you have any interest in that, or?
None whatsoever.
How did you fall into that? Was it just people recruiting you who were fans
I
of
was high.
Mushroomhead?
Somebody brought it up to me. It's like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm not good at it. So
That's good. I like that. That's a good excuse. I was high. What about wrestling? Are you still doing that? You were kind of doing wrestling part.
I'm too old. It hurts too much now. Like, and I was always fake. And I respect wrestling. Like those guys take bumps. It hurts. It does. My first match, I dislocated my thumb in the first 5 minutes. I did it to myself because I spiked my thumb in the ring doing an arm drag.
Oh.
But that was just me fulfilling a childhood fantasy of wanting to be Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold. Like that was just I love wrestling. I've always been a huge fan of wrestling. I love the art of it. I love the fact that it's just a full contact, show. It's a show. It's telling a story to a crowd. It's entertainment. And by God, they will beat the shit out of each other doing it, man. But I mean, your buddies in the back. Like one of my best friends, John McChesney. I'll tell you a little story in the ring. I had a match against him. He was the heel and I was the babyface. We were in Cleveland and we became friends. And he went back and John has a hell of a chop. And he gets me in the corner and he gets in my ear. He goes, if you bitch out, he goes, I will light you on fire. He goes, you take this like a man. I'll never do it to you again. And John commences to chop me. He chops me so hard my chest bled, like absolutely was bleeding, bruised me, and I got a standing O from the boys because I did what they call took heat.
Okay.
I took the heat, which means you get beat up that is like usually if you bring celebrity in, it's called a hot tag, and I know I'm breaking kayfabe right now, but it's kind of beyond that now. Everybody knows how wrestling works.
Yeah,
it's entertaining.
Sure.
But I came out and said, nobody's going to believe that a musician is going to come up here and beat one of you guys up. So like, let's make me this hot-headed musician that thinks he can fight, that's a fighter, and y'all just wear me out. You wear me out. Y'all are the professional. I'm not going to come in your world and make you look bad. Let me make you look good and be like, you got an easy night, and I get a couple of lucky shots, and then my partner gets the hot tag. So I took the heat, and they whooped my ass.
Did they train you like kind of like a stuntman thing, or you know how to fall and stuff? And
it's a lot of tucking your chin. I mean, you got to learn, like you got to have some athleticism to do it, but you got to definitely learn how to take the bump, and coming off top rope and all that. You got a spring loaded fucking mat. It hurts. Like you land on that, it hurt. I don't care. It hurts. You will take your knock the breath out of you. Especially if you land wrong, and it happens. But I mean, just because it's predetermined, gravity doesn't change for nobody. 16 per second, foot per second. It does not change, and you're gonna get the same impact. The higher up, the worse it feels. But like that pop, just like that adrenaline you get from the fans is amazing, and it's fun. Like it is fun. It's like, I love working with the guys I worked with because they prided themselves on not hurting people. They did. We took care of each other. I didn't try to hurt them. They didn't try to hurt me. We just tried to put on a great show. But by God,
did you do? I don't know. I don't follow wrestling super close. Did you do WCW or WWF or which one were?
It was an independent circuit.
Independent, okay.
And I worked with the Sandman. I worked with Samoa Joe. I got to work with a lot of big names. Jimmy Superfly Snuka before all that stuff came out, before he passed away. When he was still in grace, I got to work with him. I got to work with a lot of good, a lot of names. Who else? Tommy Dreamer. I got to work with him.
Do you ever get to you ever have any interactions with Jericho? Because he's a wrestler and a rocker.
I love Jericho, and AKC just did our first show with him on this last tour on Gemini, so I got to play with Jericho.
Nice,
and hopefully I'll get to do it again because I know a lot of his bandmates.
Oh, okay, yeah,
so,
that's very cool. Well, I mean, wrestling, that career is not going to happen. So, but the music that's your purpose, like you said. Everyone has a higher purpose. So, tell me about how your music has helped people, because I think I heard you say something that some people have reached out to you and said like, they were suicidal and then they heard some of your music and that kind of shifted things for them. Or what other stories have you heard from people where your music has helped them?
There's been tons of stories just like that. And I don't know if it's sonically that I'm on a wavelength that just connects with people or that are in dark places. But it seems like AKC definitely reaches out and finds people that are in those spots, that are drug addicts, that are, and I'm not saying all of them are, but we find them easily. And they come around, and then they end up finding out my story, and then they end up hearing my little catchphrase, get up and go do something. They do. And I get all these stories about people just like, man, I always had the bullet in my mouth, and then I listen to Angel on the Outside, and or I listen to Numb, and I find that, it's not over. And I don't try to preach in my songs. I just try to write about like things I understand, and sorrow is something I truly understand. And I think that people kind of look at me and they see this really happy person that I am now, and they're like, how do I become that? He's singing these songs, but he doesn't seem that way. And it's just me venting, and maybe you can learn something from what I write, and like not have to go through the sorrow I've had to go through to get there.
Absolutely. Very inspiring. Well, I like to end each episode with a charity. So is there another way that you can help people, another charity, or if people have a few extra bucks after buying the new Killer's Confession album, they could throw?
I would say definitely any kind of children. Go, any kind of like go to a shelter and give money there. Give somewhere that will use it. No, don't give to a corporation.
Okay.
Go to one of your local charities where, like a food bank or something like that, and give like that. Because that definitely, your money's going to something when you do that. Especially if you even go buy the stuff and take it there and give it to them.
That's true.
Because I hate to say it. It's just part of life. You want to find corruption, follow the money.
Mm-hmm. No, that's very true.
Charities.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll put something in the notes. Thank you so much for doing this. Anything I missed? Anything else you want to promote here?
We're good, man. I think we covered everything.
Okay. I'll put the website for Killer's Confession. People can check for tour dates.
Do not put the website. Do not put the website.
Oh.
Because somebody bought the domain out and they turned it into a Japanese porn.
Oh, well, that sounds fun too. But okay. But how do they find your tour though?
How they just go to our social media. Just put them on
social media. Okay, I'll put it on the social media. Perfect. Well, thanks so much for doing this, Waylon. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, brother.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Well, I think we covered it all in that episode. Some great stuff. I really enjoyed the stories. Check out new music from A Killer's Confession and see them on tour with Tommy Vext, formerly of Bad Wolves, and Struggle Jennings. He's the step-grandson, I think, of Waylon Jennings, and a country rapper. So make sure to follow the band A Killer's Confession, as well as Waylon Reavis on social media to keep up with new music, release dates, tour dates, all that great stuff. So make sure to follow me on social media as well, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. I have some great ones lined up, some great guests coming up, and I will continue to do so. And the more the show grows, the bigger the guests that I can attract to come on the show. So if you really want to help me and go all out, you can also write me a review on Apple Podcasts, and that will help more people find the show. I appreciate all your support, and the guests I've had on, I appreciate you supporting them as well. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, and remember to shoot for the moon.